Hi, welcome to this episode of White Glove Geography. We're going to be talking about development indicators and the birth rate, how that's measured, what are the key aspects, and what are the limitations of this particular development indicator. As we looked at before, just a brief overview of a previous video. Development indicator is just something that tells you how well developed a country is, a piece of information about that. So we have GNI, birth rate, death rate, infant mortality, life expectancy, people per doctor, education, literacy rates, safe water, and HDI, which is a composite indicator. We're going to look particularly today at the birth rates. What are the key features and what are the limitations of that one? Here's some of the things we learnt before. The birth rate is the number of births for every 1,000 people in the country. But of course, in a country there are not just 1,000 people, so let's take this example. Let's say in a country there are 10 births for every 1,000 people. However, let's say the country has 5,000 people in it, which is 5 times that. So we multiply that by that. So it's 5 multiplied by 10 is 50. Let's say there are 1 million people in the country, which is 1,000 lots of 1,000. So multiply that by 1,000 and we have 10,000. So you keep multiplying up, and if you want to find out the real birth rate in your country, keep multiplying up till you get to the population in your country. So it's the number of births for every 1,000 people, and it's per 1,000 people, so it's easily comparable between different countries. So that's the birth rate. However, there are some limitations, there are some problems with this. Some of the problems are it doesn't tell you about government interventions in the birth rate. So for example, in some countries, let's say China, it used to have the one-child policy. That's recently been rescinded, but it used to have the one-child policy. So in some countries you may look at the data and say that's quite a low number. Well, that's actually quite a high number based upon government policy. So it needs a more detailed view of that country and understanding of that country. Here's another problem: the collection of data. In the United Kingdom, we have excellent records. All births are registered in the hospital. People receive birth certificates to be able to get access to the social security and various aspects of their day-to-day life. So in the UK, that's excellent. However, in other countries, the recording of births isn't as accurate. The records might get lost, maybe not as robust record-keeping systems might be done by hand, not by a computer. So things get missed or get lost. So the collection of data in some countries is a problem. So this means that not always the birth rate statistics are correct. Third one, some of the things, again, it comes down to understanding the country. There might be social expectations or cultural expectations about having maybe more children or fewer children in a particular country. So that helps us to understand the country itself. However, if these two things, particularly like government policies and social and cultural expectations, are not properly understood, it might mean that we interpret the data in an incorrect way. Also, with the birth rate, there might be some links to education. So women in particular, if the education is low, then they might not understand the choices that are open to them regarding contraception and how to use the contraception. So it comes down to choice of women, and in some countries the options for women to choose their own method of contraception or not is very, very different to that in the UK. So that's birth rate, and here's some of the key things. It's per 1,000 people, it's measured every year, and it's the number of live births per 1,000 people of the population. Some of the limitations are the collection of data isn't always reliable. The government policies, we need to understand those, so not just read the raw data, and also understand the social and cultural expectations in that country for each family. So we have development indicators, white glove geography, and that's birth rates, the key aspects and limitations. Thank you for watching.